So far, we've looked at how we can customize our keyboard, bins, and timeline. But let's take it a step further and talk about how you can use and customize your workspaces, which are the configuration of your open windows and tools. So your workspace is basically your entire interface, which includes all of these main windows, plus any tools that you open. You can see that Media Composer does have some default workspaces, and you can see that the windows shift around and different tools are displayed. So there are these default 7, but I want to actually create some of my own. So I'm going to go back to Source Record, and I think what I'd like to do is have a view where the timeline goes all the way across the bottom, like so. And we'll go ahead and make sure that the project window is down here. And maybe I'll make my Composer window just a little bit smaller so that I have some room for more bins over here. All right, so let's say that this is a workspace that I'd like to save. What I'm going to do is come up to Windows, Workspaces, and say New Workspace. And I'm going to call this one Edit 1. And I'll say OK. And now I can go back and forth between Source Record and Edit 1. OK? If I want to change this at all, let's say I want my Composer window to be large after all, then I just make the change and then come up to Windows, Workspaces, and as long as that's checked, I can choose Save Current. And I've made this change. Let's do one more. I'm going to go and start off in audio editing. And we actually haven't covered audio editing yet, but we will get to that in the next chapter. But I'm just going to do a little preview here and set up an audio-centric workspace. Let's go ahead and give our audio mixer room to breathe here. So I'll make this a little bit bigger, like so. And we'll make the timeline a little bit smaller, as well as the Composer window. Maybe a little bit smaller than that even, because we need a place for our project window, which we'll make tall and thin. Okay? All right. And then our bins get to hang out way up here in tabbed view. Not enough room for our bins. So let's say that this is what we want for this audio workspace. And let's open up a tool as well. Right now we have the audio mixer open, but we also want Tools, Audio Tool. And we'll go ahead and tab this into this tool. So we already know that bins can be tabbed, well, so can tools. I'll just drag my audio tool tab right in here. So let's say that this is a view that I'd like to save. Again, it's the Composer window, the timeline, the audio mixer, the audio tool, and my project window. The bin here is not included in this view. So I can close the bin, and you can see that these are all the tools that are included in my workspace. So again, I'll go up to Windows, Workspaces, and New Workspace, and I'm going to call this one Audio 1. All right, let's go ahead and open up my 6.3 sequence again, because that'll be helpful in just a little bit. Now, let's switch back and forth between the two workspaces that we just created. So here is my Audio 1 workspace, here is my Edit 1 workspace, and here's Source Record. And whoops, my project window is up in the upper left. I wanted it down in the lower left, and we'll save that setting as well. Okay, so that's cool, but I'm actually going to go a step further. I'm going to start linking these workspaces that I've created to some of the timeline views that I created in the previous movie. So let's just start with our Audio 1 workspace. I'm going to link this to my audio timeline view. And the way I do that is I go up to Windows, Workspaces, and then Properties. And under Linked to Settings, I choose Linked to Name Settings, and I type in the name of the setting that I want to link this to. Now, what did I call my audio timeline? I called it Audio, but then I renamed it. I'm going to cancel here, and I'm going to go into Settings, and let's just check right here. My audio timeline view is actually called 3-audio. That was so that I could force it to be timeline view number 3. If you didn't watch the previous movie, you may need to in order to see what I mean here. I am going to go back into Properties, and I know that that is called 3-audio. And OK. And you can see that it changed it automatically. Now, let's go into my Edit 1, and we'll go ahead and go to Properties, and again, Link to Name Settings. And what did we call that video timeline view? It was 2-video, and OK. And then let's link the default view to Source Record. So I'm going to go back up to Windows, Workspaces, Source Record, and let's link that, Properties, to my default, and that was 1-default, and OK. All right, so this is getting even more powerful. As I switch back and forth between source record and audio 1, check out not only the workspace reconfiguration, but the timeline. And edit 1, everything is changing at once. But guess what? We're going to take it even a step further. Rather than having to choose these from this menu here, let's map it to the keyboard. So we'll go to Settings, press K to pop to Keyboard, and Command Palette, Command 3, or Control 3 on a PC. And Workspaces has its own tab, so I'll click here. And here's Source Record. We don't see my Edit 1 or Audio 1 because those are user-created workspaces. If I want, I can come to any one of these drop-down menus and choose them, though. So let's do Audio 1 here and Edit 1 here. All right, I'm going to map Source Record here to Shift-S. And you can see that Shift-S already has my Extract Splice segment mode, but I remapped that to 0 a long time ago, so I don't need it on Shift-S. So I'm going to drag Source Record to Shift-S. And for my Audio 1 view, I'm going to drag that to Shift-A. And I'm going to drag my Edit 1 view to Shift-E. So I've remapped those 3 workspaces to my keys on the keyboard, and those workspaces are in turn linked to timeline settings. So this gets pretty darn cool. So now I'm going to press Shift-A to go to my Audio workspace, Shift-E to go to my Edit workspace, and Shift-S to go to Source Record. And as I do that, you see that the timeline views are changing accordingly. So very neat in my opinion. We're changing entire views and editing functions with just the press of a button. I'm going to go back to Source Record, Shift-S. So hopefully this demo has given you lots of good ideas about creating and mapping your own editing workspaces to optimize your own editing workflow. I encourage you to customize away. There's really no limit on what you can do with workspaces.